Hey, and welcome back to Afternoon Literature. So, thank you for joining me today for my book report. Now, this is the first in a series, which is going to be videos that are 10 minutes or less that focus on either one particular book, a short series of books, or which look at an aspect of books and literature. So, today's book report is going to focus entirely on Orion Lost by Alastair Chisholm. Orion Lost is a middle grade book, primarily aimed at around 12 to 13-year-olds. It's on the higher end of middle grade, and this is a science fiction novel. Now, science fiction in middle grade is not that common. You see a lot of scientific elements, but they tend to be either steampunky elements or it tends to verge more towards the fantastical. So an actual science fiction and something that focuses on the idea of spaceships in space is quite rare. It was really interesting to get to read Orion Lost for exactly that reason, and this is one of the reasons I believe it was picked for Middle Grade Monthly, so that you got a variety of the genres that you could try out in Middle Grade. Orion Lost is about a group of teenagers, or just teenagers, who are on a spaceship going out to colonize a new part of the galaxy. But there is an event that happens while they are jumping on their spaceship. So as they're jumping and warping through space, they need to be put into a sleep state. However, when they are put into the sleep state, their memories are downloaded and those memories have to be re-uploaded into their person for them to wake up and retain their own sense of self. If anything occurs that is incorrect with this jump and this mode of sleeping, then that means that someone cannot be woken up because they won't have access to their memories. And that is unfortunately what occurs during one of the crucial jumps that the Orion makes. This means that the only people who are safe to wake up is a group of 6 young people who are now going to have to captain the ship and essentially save all of the colonists, who include their parents. This was a extremely fast-paced, fun read. I found it very easy to get along with. I was constantly compelled to turn pages and keep reading the story. In fact, I only read it over a couple of hours. It's not because it's too simple. I think it's written extremely well. There's some very good concepts in it. There's definitely some very scientific concepts in it. The idea of gravity, the idea of the vacuum of space, and looking at sleeping, how space can and space-time can work. And there's some kind of explanation about the idea of space being more like a ball of string than it is like a linear line, as we sometimes picture it. And there's also some things about like strategy and military leadership and things in this, which I think was really good. So it's filled with interesting topics that are handled simplistically, done extremely well, and very clear and easy to follow. But there's also intrigue, mystery, and betrayal within this novel. So looking at the characters first, the main character is Beth. She is a 13-year-old who has been convinced by her parents that this is the right thing for them to do, to go and colonize this new planet, and so she's looking forward to the new adventure. Beth is on track to be a commander and has actually always dreamed of running her own spaceship, but she is completely controlled by her emotions, and so sometimes can act in a less rational way and more emotive manner, which means that she tends to flip out about thinking sometimes. Sometimes it's not all that logical. The counterpoint to Beth in this is Vihan, who also wants to be a commander. In fact, his dad is actually the captain of the spaceship, and Vihan is the perfect soldier, the perfect commander. He is very straight-laced. He doesn't seem to be ruled by emotions. He's only ruled by logic and rationale. And him and Beth clash quite frequently. I enjoyed that aspect between this. It became a discussion between whose leadership style was best, why that was best, and what were the good elements from both of them. I love that they have some elements of commander training, and so that this is constantly looked at in the idea of how compassion can be used within leadership, but also how it's difficult to make decisions that are sometimes necessary even if they are harsh. And we get to see them make mistakes here, but we also get to see them rectify them, which is brilliant. Along with these characters, we get a small cast of secondary characters. We have Arnold, who is kind of your jockish idiot style character, but becomes a wonderful guide to them all. He is very smart in his own way. Once he finds his place, it's brilliant, and he works exceptionally well with his hands. You get Lucille, who's a sensitive young girl, but an absolute genius in maths. We get Mikkel, who is control of everything but also capable of a lot more languages and communication, and so he's in charge of that, and so he tells quite a few home truths in this to Beth, the main character, about her own communication and her shortcomings in this, which I thought was a fantastic part for him to play. And then finally we get Lauren, who is the youngest of the bunch, but also an absolute hacker extraordinaire genius who does not trust the AI system that they have been left with. Lauren is a wonderful addition. At first I found her a little annoying. She was extremely bouncy, extremely hyper. She's 11 years old and she had all the traits of someone who just constantly got in your face and didn't really listen. That ends very quickly as they get into this predicament. She actually becomes a extremely stable counterpoint. She's a very fun character to follow along, and I really ended up loving her by the end of this novel. What I found most fun about this is that it introduces the ideas of aliens, of spacers who are like space pirates. We see very clear villains in this, but we also see the role that the parents play, and we see these children miss their parents so much, and I thought that was vital. There are teachers in this, there are mentors, there are people for them to look up to, and that is really important because you don't see it enough sometimes where things focus on the idea of kind of like orphan characters. So although there is a logical explanation to why these characters are not there with their parents and why they are having to look after and take over the ship, we also get to see how much they have bonded with their family, how much they love their family and miss them, and we get elements of knowing how much they're looking up to those parental figures who are clearly good influences in their life, which I think is something refreshing in middle grade. So, overall, did I enjoy this book? Well, I really loved it. It genuinely was a fast and fun read. It was something different. There is surprising elements in there, and by the end of it, it definitely did make me cry. There was times that made me laugh, and I love the bond and relationship and friendship between all of the characters in this. I think it's an amazing book, and I really hope that I can find more middle grade like this because it was a fantastic read. So if you're interested, this was the May middle grade monthly book, and Jade from JDRA Reads and Gavin Hetherington from How to Train Your Gavin will be doing a discussion of this on May 30th, so I will link that video once it's up. But you should definitely go out and buy Orion Lost by Alastair Chisholm.